Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. With more than 90% of ballots counted, Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski holds a narrow lead in the first round of Poland's presidential election. His runoff challenger, Karol Nawrocki, trails by less than 0.7%, outperforming various domestic polls. Trzaskowski from the ruling centrist party Civic Coalition has just over 31.2% according to exit polls. Nawrocki of the opposition Law and Justice Party follows 29.7%. While Nawrocki placed second domestically, his overseas support was weaker. Among voters abroad, Sławomir Mencen outperformed him, receiving more than 16%. Now, if the vote had depended only on the diaspora, Mencen would have an advantage to the runoff. A candidate needs over 50% to win outright, and with no one crossing that threshold, the runoff is set for June 1st. Official results are expected on Monday or Tuesday. Turnout reached 66.8%, the highest first-round figure since Poland's 1990 democratic transition. Rafał Trzaskowski, who is leading after the first round according to the latest count, has pledged to relax Poland's strict abortion laws. In his election night remarks, the Warsaw mayor also vowed to reform the judiciary and safeguard the Silesian language as part of a broader push for regional inclusion.
On the first day after the victory, I will do very hard work, and I guarantee you a law that will abolish this medieval anti-abortion law. I guarantee you this. I promise you a law on the Silesian language, because we are just as strong as a nation in our diversity, and we will do it together. I promise you a law, and I will introduce this law that will put an end to all that is happening in the Polish judiciary. Finally, there will be order. Finally, Polish courts will start to act faster and will have certainty about judicial rulings.
Wreszcie polskie sądy zaczną działać szybciej i będziemy mieli pewność co do sądowych orzeczeń.
Karol Nawrocki would likely seek a close partnership with the Trump administration if elected, while Rafał Trzaskowski is expected to maintain a more pro-European stance. That assessment comes from Adam Tarczyk, executive director of More in Common Poland, who said Nawrocki may also try to take on a larger role in shaping Poland's foreign policy than his opponent.
Karol Nawrocki, the law and justice candidate, might also be willing to play that stronger role in foreign policy, play that transatlantic card, try to be a very close partner to the U.S., especially to the Trump administration. And of course, Rafał Trzaskowski is more of a pro-European candidate. He's also, of course, a transatlanticist, also by heart, but he's also a very pro-European politician. But I think what is also crucially important is the fact that Rafał Trzaskowski is a government-backed candidate, which means that his election, his win, the possible win in the second round, will basically give the government more space for maneuver. It will be up to the government basically the government and the president will speak with one voice.
Pro-European centrist Nicușor Dan has won Romania's presidential election, according to official results from the country's Permanent Electoral Authority. Dan secured 54% of the vote in the nation of 19 million. His rival, far-right Eurosceptic George Simeon, received 46%. Addressing supporters, Dan called the victory a collective achievement and urged unity at home and abroad. His campaign focused on fighting corruption, supporting Ukraine, and keeping Romania firmly anchored in Europe. Nicușor Dan's victory defied early polling that had him trailing. The exit polls show Bucharest mayor beat George Simeon by 10 points, strengthening his national profile.
Despite polls showing the two candidates being neck and neck, there can only be one winner. That man is Nicușor Dan, the mayor of Bucharest and centrist and pro-European Union candidate. Sunday's runoff was delayed by several months after Romania's constitutional court annulled the first round in the wake of far-right candidate Călin Georgescu's suspicious rise to first place, chalked up to Russian interference. In the run-up to the latest vote, many anticipated another far-right candidate, in this case Georgia Simeon, to win. However, Dan's pro-Ukraine and pro-EU stances won the Romanian public's favor, and through their votes chose to stay on course for good relations with the rest of the European bloc. According to exit polls from the Avant-Garde and Course agencies, Nicușor Dan beat Georgia Simeon roughly 54% to 45%.
Concerns over Russian interference continue to grow. The Kremlin's operations now reach beyond Romania, with Poland's 2025 presidential election reportedly in its sights.
According to Polish authorities, Russia's shadowy hands have attempted to get a grip on the 2025 Polish presidential elections. Poland's Digital Affairs Minister Krzysztof Gawkowski reported a significant increase in cyber attacks traced to Russian sources, with nearly 2,000 incidents recorded in a single day and an estimated 60,000 to 70,000 attacks per month. These attacks targeted critical infrastructure, including water and electricity networks, aiming to sow panic and distrust in state institutions. Same goes for Russia's alleged attempts to recruit Polish citizens through the darknet, offering financial rewards for engaging in activities that would further destabilize the state. Another layer of Russia's cyber offensive were disinformation campaigns, specifically Operation Doppelganger. It involved creating fake versions of reputable Polish news websites to spread misinformation and disinformation to sway Polish voters and spread Russian narratives. Russia's shadowy dealings didn't stop in the cybersphere, however, as Polish authorities have linked the Kremlin to a series of arson attacks, particularly the torching of the shopping center at Warsaw's Marywilska 44th Street, once again aimed at sowing distrust in public institutions and the state.
Pope Leo XIV, the first American to lead the Catholic Church, began his papacy with a call for unity and compassion during his inaugural Mass. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was the first world leader to meet with the new pope. He also held his first in-person meeting with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance since their clash at the White House in February. During the Mass, Pope Leo said he hopes the Vatican can act as a bridge for peace, especially amid the ongoing war in Ukraine.
Leo XIV, previously known as Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, has officially begun his papal reign as the head of the Catholic Church. Thousands of faithful flocked to St. Peter's Square in Vatican to witness the ceremonial Mass.
It's a lot of emotion. It's a great blessing because we've been suffering for more than 2 years, and this Pope, in one way or another, has brought us emotion, a relief.
He'll make a wonderful Pope. I like how emotional and kind he is. I love his background.
Numerous world leaders were also in attendance, with many using the inauguration as an opportunity to meet with other heads of state. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, making it their first face-to-face meeting following their tense encounter in the Oval Office in February. Pope Leo XIV has previously criticized Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, taking a much stronger stance than his predecessor, who was hesitant to condemn Russia.
We already found many videos speaking about the issues as a cardinal, who really condemned, without any doubts, the full-scale invasion on Ukraine as a form of Russian imperialism.
Pope Leo is the first leader of the Catholic Church to have used personal social media accounts prior to his inauguration, making his views on various matters readily accessible. But now that he has taken reign of the Holy See, Leo XIV may no longer be able to speak in such direct terms.
I think that the Pope is mostly aligned with the West, but of course in the Vatican terms he could not completely go beyond political terms. He has always to have an humanitarian surface that is always priority for the Vatican.
Pope Leo has already offered the Vatican as the place for future Ukraine-Russia peace talks following Putin's no-show in Istanbul.
The leaders of Poland, France, and the UK are planning a joint phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump ahead of his scheduled conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced the plan on Sunday. He also said that he had spoken with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to confirm the details of the upcoming call. Now, that conversation took place while the two were at the Vatican for Pope Leo XIV's inaugural Mass. Earlier on Friday, the same group of leaders spoke with President Trump to discuss the outcome of the renewed Russian-Ukraine peace talks in Turkey. Just one day after these negotiations, Trump said on Saturday that he was willing to speak with both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He added that he believes those conversations could help move peace efforts forward. Portugal's center-right Democratic Alliance has won the snap parliamentary elections, but without securing a majority. Prime Minister Luis Montenegro said that the outcome shows that voters want to put national interest first.
In these elections, which were snap elections not demanded by the people, the politicians decided to ask the people which program they wanted to serve as the foundation of governance and which prime minister they wanted to lead its implementation. The answer was clear. The foundation of governance is the AD's program. The Prime Minister is the current one, and everyone must be able to engage in dialogue and place the national interest above any other interest.
Former U.S. President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. The 82-year-old was evaluated after experiencing urinary issues. According to the statement, Biden's cancer is classified as high-grade, scoring 9 out of 10 on the Gleason scale. While this indicates an aggressive form of the disease, it is reportedly responsive to hormone therapy, which can help manage it effectively. Following the announcement, Biden received messages of support from across the political spectrum. That includes his successor and political rival, Donald Trump, who posted on his social media platform that he and the First Lady were saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.